longer needed. All right, my name is Chris Kaylin, and I would like to welcome you to Black Southern Belle BSB Book Club, hosted by Black Southern Belle and sponsored by Harlequin Trade. My name is Chris Kaylin. I am an on-air personality for Z93 Jams in Charleston. You can catch me Saturday 10 to 3, Sunday 11 to 3, and 9 o'clock p.m. for the Chucktown Hit Factory. And I'm also the voice of Charlemagne the God's show, The God's Honest Truth. And I'm super excited to be here. And we're going to celebrate a soul-infused storytelling during Black History Month. And I literally just dived back into my love of reading, and I thought this was such a perfect event, so thank you again for having me host. And let me tell you a little bit about Black Southern Belle. It is the leading lifestyle media brand for all things Southern bred and soul-infused. Founded by Michelle Perry, Black Southern Belle focuses on Black American women in and from the South through its editorial extension. Black Southern Belle preserves the culture of Southern women, living, highlighting African American culture, Gullah Geechee heritage, highlighting Black American entrepreneurs, women, tastemakers, life milestones, curating entertaining experiences, home decor advice, must-see Southern travel, destinations, and more. During our events, Heritage-inspired conversations, you will hear from talented authors Candace Buford, Catherine Adele West, Nadine Maxson, Taj McCoy, and a discussion led by writer and editor Britt Franklin and Lavinda Miller, owner of Turning Page Bookstore. We will be sharing some fun Black Southern Belle inspired book content and introducing you to unique Black-owned brands, bookstores, and coffee brands to enjoy during your next time reading. We hope today's messages and conversations will reverberate year around. Stay tuned. We will be giving away books and gifts to a few lucky audience members, and we hope that you will join the conversation in the chat. So make sure you are checking out the chat, reaching out to the authors, and all of those good things. And we'll be sharing helpful information and links throughout the event. We want to thank our speakers, guests, and especially our event sponsor, Harlequin Trade Publishing, for helping make this event possible. So now let's get to Rashonda Grant of the Carolina Cookery, who will be showing us how to make a delicious signature coffee cocktail.
Our first cocktail today is called the Black Irish, and that is a Black-owned take on a traditional Irish coffee. For that, we're going to be using our Black and Bold brewed coffee, as well as Dubois vanilla whiskey, and a little bit of Kahlua coffee liqueur. So first, we're going to start with a large shot of our Dubois whiskey. So if you have a jigger, that's going to be the big side with 1.5 ounce pour. Now, this particular whiskey has some really good vanilla notes, and it happens to be made by one of the fabulous alumni of Florida A&M University. So shout out to the Rattlers, thank you for this. And the next ingredient is our Kahlua liqueur. And for that, we're just gonna flip it over and we're gonna go with a small 1 ounce pour. If you're not a huge coffee drinker and you want something a little more mellow, you can absolutely switch this out for like a Godiva chocolate liqueur or any other liqueur of your choosing. Maybe even a little amaretto would be nice, but it's totally up to you. And we'll set that back. And then lastly, for this cocktail, we are using the Black and Bold in the Smooth Operator blend. So I tasted a few of them, and I think this one just has a perfect balance of boldness, but it's really smooth, and so I think it'll go great with our cocktail. And then from here, you can finish your coffee however you like. Because we've got our liqueur and our vanilla whiskey, that's plenty sweet enough for me, but I am gonna put in just a splash of heavy cream. And then give it a quick stir. And there you have it, the Black Irish. Enjoy. Our second cocktail is called Slim Thick, which is perfect for those of you who are trying to watch your figure but want to enjoy a lovely cocktail. This cocktail is super low calorie and dairy free. So first, we're going to start with a hefty tablespoon of instant coffee granules, and pour that in our bowl. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar, in just a tiny bit of hot boiling water. And that is plenty enough. And then from here, I'm going to give this a nice whisk until it becomes light and frothy. So now that that's all whisked up, you'll see it comes a nice frothy foam. So you're just going to whisk that until it becomes a nice thick froth, and that's going to go on top of our cocktail. So we're going to set this aside just for a minute and fill our cocktail shaker up with a few cubes of ice. We're going to go in with a little bit of our almond milk coffee liqueur or almond milk liqueur. Yum. And I'm also going to add, just because I love flavor, a little bit of sugar-free salted caramel syrup. And if you wanted, if you felt so inclined, you could absolutely add a little bit more liqueur again, or a little bit more alcohol. So that's one could include your coffee flavored vodkas, or maybe caramel or whipped cream flavored vodkas. Those would all be really excellent choices for this cocktail. And then we're just gonna make sure we get that on nice and tight and give it a shake. And I've got myself a pretty little glass here. I'm gonna add just a little bit of ice to this as well. And pour our chilled almond milk flavored goodness on top. And now I'm just gonna switch my whisk out for a spoon and top that off with our coffee foam. And you can put as much or as little as you like. Ooh. And you have that nice light foam sitting right on top. And you can leave that floating on top. I like to just go ahead and give mine a stir and whisk it in like a lovely little kind of cafe au lait feel. And there you have it. Enjoy.
All right, welcome back, Black Southern Belle Book Club, and Rashonda Grant. Thank you again for that infused coffee cocktail. It looked delicious. First of all, Rashonda is amazing. She makes the most amazing meals, and as always, that looked amazing as well. But we are getting ready for our first giveaway. And do we have that? Are we ready for the giveaway, please? And make sure you're interacting in the comments. Let us know you're here. Congratulations to our first winner, Georgette Martin, for the Black Southern Belle. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this and being a great audience member. And our next winner is, drumroll please, imaginary one. And once again, make sure you are sharing this live and letting everyone know about Black Southern Belle. This is the Black Southern Belle Book Club, and we are super excited to be here and waiting on that next giveaway winner. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You are more than welcome. You are more than welcome. Right. Congratulations to Shari Wright, our audience member. We have two winners, but listen, we have more giveaways coming up, so don't you worry about that. But congratulations to our two winners, winning some really awesome prizes. Once again, thank you to our sponsors for being a part of this event and making this possible. But right now, we're getting ready to hop into our first panel conversation, and this is heritage inspired storytelling. Our panelists for this will be Catherine Adele West, the author of Saving Ruby, and Candace Buford, the author of Neil. And the moderator for this panel will be Britt Franklin. So let's give them a round of applause in your home since this is virtual.
Hello, everyone. I am Britt Franklin. I'm a writer and editor for Apartment Therapy and Off Cultured, and I'm so excited to be discussing heritage-inspired storytelling with Candace Buford, the author of Neil, and Catherine Adele West, the author of Saving Ruby King. So just to kick things off, can you guys introduce yourself, your book, and give us a quick synopsis of your novels? And we'll start with Candace.
Hello. So good to be here. Thanks for having me. My book is called Neil, and it follows a high school football player named Russell Boudreau, who is really focused on getting out of his small town in Louisiana and getting a scholarship to a D1 football program. But then his best friend and quarterback of the team is arrested and wrongfully accused of a crime. So Russ decides to, or refuses to stay silent, and he protests a broken justice system and really whips his town into equal parts fury and activism.
I'm Catherine Adele West. I'm the author of Saving Ruby King. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. So my book, Saving Ruby King, is based on the South Side of Chicago and the Black church community. And it's about a young woman named Layla who has a best friend named Ruby. And what happens when the murder of Ruby's mother, Alice, uproots their tight knit church community and all of the secrets that come to light as a result of Layla trying to save Ruby from a dangerous situation, an even more dangerous situation, I should say, at home. It's about family, forgiveness, secrets, generational trauma, and the breaking of chains.
Awesome. So what inspired you both to write your stories and share those stories? We'll start with you, Catherine.
I've always liked to write on and off. I think I just got tired of saying I was going to write a book and just decided to actually sit my behind down and write one. It took me 5 years to write the first draft of Saving Ruby King. I think my life in the Black church and all of the wonderful things and all of the not so wonderful things surrounding it prompted me to write this book and also kind of confront issues that I had within my own family. And it was a really wonderful, horrible, but super cathartic process.
It definitely sounds like it.
Yeah.
And what about you, Candace?
I just really wanted to join the conversation on kneeling and Black Lives Matter from my little corner of the world from my desk. I don't know. I think that conversation really got hijacked. Seeing our president and newscasters and people of importance telling people to get that son of a bee off the field and shut up and dribble, and it was just so demeaning, and it really hijacked the message of not seeing Black men and women and people getting shot and killed in the streets. So I wanted to find, I guess I always write in YA, and I think young people are ready to have that conversation, are ready for change. And so I set Colin Kaepernick-esque stories in a high school arena. And that's really how I got started on this book. And then just generally, I've also always been a writer. I remember being in law school, and my professor, my legal writing professor, was like, this memorandum is beautiful, but it's not like lawyerly, so I'm gonna have to get you to redo it. And I just kind of learned to write on my own at night, and slowly but surely kind of just started taking over my life, and I had to birth a book. Yeah.
When you both were speaking, it definitely handles a lot of issues that we go through in the Black community that we've been paying attention to. So what does the importance of storytelling, especially when it comes to expressing your heritage and culture through the written word, what does that mean to you? We'll start with Candace this time.
Hello. Well, I mean, I often go back to like when I was reading books when I was a kid, and not really seeing myself or my experience reflected in books. And I think it's definitely getting better, and TV shows are getting better with more representation, in my opinion. But I think it's important to write a little bit of yourself, a little bit of your heritage. I mean, writers write from their own experiences, and that's like what makes a really good character credible, and it's what makes those characters relatable. So heritage writing, I always really write in the South. I love Southern Gothics. I think Southern Gothics are really great because they have an element of the South, this like grotesque sort of underpinning that's used to describe racism or sexism, or any of the isms. And so that is important to me in any story. And in Neil in particular, you see this specter of a Black basketball player from Shreveport who was just shot and killed by police right before the opening of the book. And his name was Dante, and you see Dante's shadow, throughout the entire book. And it's a way of really breathing life into this controversy of how we have begun to almost normalize the gunning down of young Black people. And it's really strange. So bringing that into the conversation and not letting that important detail die was important to me.
Definitely. What about you, Catherine?
Yeah, so for me, I come from kind of a different background in terms of how and where I was raised. So I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. So for me, that's as much a part of me as my skin color is. But the thing is, in terms of the south side of Chicago, there's a very well crafted narrative of what that is, where that is, and who you are as a result of it. That's a problem. So I wrote Saving Ruby King as a way to show you all of the aspects of the south side of Chicago and of the Black community of the south side of Chicago, because it's just a very stereotypical 60-second news clip of who you think we are. And also to show you the beauty of my city, and to kind of show you the different intricacies of the Black church, and how we celebrate and how we mourn and how we hide secrets, and in terms of generational trauma. I always wanted to talk about that because it's something, especially being Black, it's something just so swept under the rug. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, bad things happen. So bad things always have happened to us. Bad things have happened to us since we come here. Deal with it. You know what I mean? It's always just like such a deal with it mentality, or a sweep it under the rug mentality. And I think that's why so many, there's so much dysfunction sometimes within the family. As much as there's love, there's like equal parts of love and dysfunction. And a lot of that I feel could have been or can be broken by just the telling of the truth or the telling of your story as a woman. And I wanted to focus on that in terms of adult fiction, because like there isn't a lot of representation in terms of adult fiction. The Black family and in particular Black father and daughter relationships. That's something I really wanted to bring to the fore, while at the same time also showing how we worship, how we interact, how we thrive, and how we overcome.
So we've heard location, we've heard upbringing, educational backgrounds. Were there any other inspirations that led you to write this particular story? We'll go with Catherine.
Yeah. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I have a very loving but super complicated relationship with my father. And he is the pastor of a church. And I wanted to use that relationship as the basis for Saving Ruby King. At first, Saving Ruby King was literally just going to be like about this one daughter and her dad. But since it was the first book I ever wrote, you kind of need, obstacles to overcome. Otherwise, it's just like a 300-page story of dialogue. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I started creating these characters surrounding them. And Ruby wasn't supposed to even be a main character. She was just supposed to be this ancillary character. And the story morphed. So for me, it was just, once again, a way to kind of deal with my own trauma and my unresolved issues in terms of my family. I remember when my dad read the book, I was like, oh, okay, so what's going to happen? Now, whatever happened, it didn't matter because the book's already written. Good luck. But he read it and it opened up like, yet another discussion. And truth be told, he didn't even know that the main character, Jackson, was like based on him. And I was like, really? But it opened up like a further discussion. And it was just, once again, it was kind of cathartic. And I hope that it's the same for anybody else who reads Saving Ruby King or who reads Neo. Like, there are issues that need to be dealt with and things that need to be talked about. And books sometimes are the perfect conduit in order for us to be able to begin these conversations. That can be sometimes very difficult.
Absolutely. And what about you, Candace? Any other inspirations? And did that also lead to a larger conversation like it did for Catherine?
Oh man, I mean, I have, you asked that question. I was like, how much time do you have? I mean, the cover of this book, I mean, it's obviously like football centric. He's taking a knee. But when you read through the book, it's surprisingly like there's not a lot of football playing going on in the book. I wanted to talk about access to fresh fruits and vegetables and minority communities and food deserts and food justice, which I touched on. I also wanted to show a different side of football players, that they can be academic and they can achieve something different if they want to, and be seen as multidimensional and not just for their sport. I also wanted to show Black nuclear families and a supportive father in the end. He might not have really understood Russ's reasoning at the beginning, but there is definitely a happy story arc there. And I also really wanted to dig into Black boy joy, Black boys in friendship and how they interact with each other and with their community. And then, one of the main characters is Gabby. She's like my fave. I wanted to show, a very strong Black female character who has a voice and isn't afraid to use it, and how Russ finds that part in her very appealing and very attractive, and to not kind of run away from your own power. And so those are all, this book was way longer. It was too long. I wanted to cover so much in it, but I wanted to make these characters really leap out of the page and into your heart and mind, so that they keep bugging you about using your voice. Yeah.
In hearing both of you speak, I loved how you spoke about this wide range of experiences in the Black community and not just one singular viewpoint. Like you covered, like you said, Black boy joy, and then the relationship between fathers and daughters. And it's all these things we don't always see represented in the media. So I love that. So leading from that, who or what sparked your love of storytelling? And let's go with Candace.
Yeah. So my mom would read stories to us. I remember Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry was like a big one, because that was one of the few books where it was, like a main Black character with agency. We also read Harry Potter. She read that out loud to me and my brother. My sister was like over it immediately, but we read that, and I'm still trying to come to terms with the author right now and my love for Harry Potter. But as a kid, I really, really loved it. And that was one of the first moments where I could not wait for my mom to read the next chapter the next night. I just kind of swiped the book off of her nightstand and would stay up late reading those books and, reading above my reading level and just kind of jotting down stories or, really minor characters and thinking of like, hey, what's this side character's story? And then, so that was one of the beginnings of my writing career, for sure.
Yeah. And what about you, Catherine?
Same thing. My mom was a big part of the reason. My mom is actually a retired principal and reading reading literature, English teacher. So I was kind of stuck from the beginning. There was like, I didn't really have, I guess, like much of an option, which isn't true because my brother's an artist. But I remember something, similar to Candace. So like my brother and I had these bunk beds. He was on the top, I was on the bottom because I don't do heights. And my mom would read stories to us. Now I'm an 80s baby. So by the time Harry Potter was out, I was in college. So we had like the Bearstein Bears and Dr. Seuss. And one of my favorite books was Hooper Humperdinck. And it's like a book full of alliteration. Like I'll take Alice, I'll take Anna, I'll take Aaron, but like Hooper Humperdinck, not him. And to this day, I have to find a way to work alliteration into my books because like I can't not have like some little tiny part of it. And there was just like, not just in my immediate family, but in like my extended family, just such a love for education and reading to the point where like I'm reading Charles Dickens at 12 and I read Great Expectations. And I always actually credit with Charles Dickens. Once again, you got to come to terms with who the author was as opposed to what they wrote. I always credit him with teaching me what a true plot twist was. Because when I read to the end and I found out that, and there better be not anybody saying like, oh my God, it's a spoiler. The book's 200 years old. Look. So when I find out at the end that the convict is actually Pip's benefactor, I like, what? It wasn't his Haversham? What is this? What is what? Like I felt like I had never, up until then, really had like a huge plot twist in a book. So that's like why I'm also like a big fan of like plot twists and revealing things in a huge and dramatic way. But I wouldn't have really done any of that and it start young with like my mom sitting reading to us and using all like the different voices for like the Bearstein Bears and like Hooper Humperdinck and Dr. Seuss and like all of the other ones. And then, that prompted me to kind of go on my journey to figure out what I wanted to do. And then luckily by the time I'm a teenager, I'm like discovering like Gwendolyn Brooks and Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin and County Cullen. And then, you know what I mean? Because Lord knows that wasn't available in my high school. You know what I mean? Like, we have to have a different education outside of our own structured corporate education as African Americans, which always irks me because we have to learn about ourselves on our own. Mm-hmm. But that's like a whole nother discussion for another day. But that's about it.
Agreed with that last bit. If you're not infusing your storytelling with some amount of history or whatever, I do believe students are just going to learn whatever version of history the school is teaching.
Mhm.
And usually it's very whitewashed in our history. And the reason for protest or the reason of, Black discontent is not covered at all. And so I think that as adults, they are confused and confounded about what's going on in the current conversation.
And then unfortunately we bear the brunt of that once we get to college, if you're like me and go to a predominantly white college. And then like I got to run a little Black history lesson to you on the side when I'm just like, this isn't my job.
Right.
Like, I'm not getting paid for this one at all,
Right. And on that note, that's a great place to stop, because I feel like we can go on and on at length, but it was great talking to you both. Like, I feel like I learned so much, and I know a lot of people are going to go out and grab your books and read them. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you again for having me.
You really have to get to the heart of a character to make them jump off the page. And I think that requires you to look inward. As the writer of these characters, I'm sometimes forced to come to realize a truth about life or about myself or something, and you dig deep in yourself.
We're including family, we're including tradition, we're including culture, we're including food, and however we deal with the spirit realm. I think all of those things are a part of it, but there's something so edifying about being able to see and hear and think about those things that connect us.
To me, soul-infused storytelling is, it feels real, and it feels like the characters, you could be sitting in a bar with them or just sitting around the dinner table with them, and you feel as if though you're like a friend or part of their family.
I think soul-infused storytelling has an honesty. I think to me it means being able to tell my story in a way that makes me proud, that makes my community proud. I think soul-infused storytelling is something that's inherently different to every author. It's whatever it means to them, it's going to be different from author to author.
You are telling the story from deep within, that we feel like we're walking the journey with the narrator.
I think back on the history of African Americans during slavery, during the 40s, 50s, 60s, and how the elderly would sit there and tell the stories of how they were and how things were when they grew up. And people think that, oh, that's giving you the struggles that they've gone through. No, it does give you the struggles, but it tells you the strength, what they endured, how they endured it, and to infuse in you that you've got to keep that fight and that battle and that strength. You got to keep it going.
All right, my name is Kaylin, and I would like to welcome you to Black Southern Belle Book Club. I'm loving the interactions that I'm seeing in the comments, and there was one question: where can I purchase these books? Great question. I'm glad you asked. A ton of bookstores like Turning Page in Houston, Baldwin Co. in New Orleans, Urban Reader in Charlotte, and you can read your book with some amazing coffee from Barista Bear in Charleston, South Carolina. So once again, thank you to our sponsor, Harlequin, and you can connect with them on Instagram and Facebook at HTP Books at the end. Okay. Here for the giveaway and the winner. So congratulations to our first winner. We won some books from the authors that are participating. And are the winner of the Black Southern Belle Best. So good beauty, and that winner is Lindsay Ford. Congratulations on the winner. Comments. Congratulations to Lindsay Ford. She is the winner of the Black Southern Belle Best. So congratulations to you. And now we are moving on to panel number 2. And this discussion is all about storytelling. And we love to talk about storytelling. And the panelists for this will be the author of Jigsaw Man, and Taj McCoy of Savage, and the author of Shelby Field. So right now, the moderator for that panel will be super excited to see this panel.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I am doing very well. Before we start this, I'd like to know, what in the name of good God were you thinking, Nadine? Do you know how many people say, do you know how many people say, oh, Jesus Christ? Are you sure that hasn't been picked up by HBO, Netflix, Showtime, or somebody? Because that me and my manager
Not
kept
yet.
saying, did that really happen? Let me start from the beginning. I couldn't wait to talk to you because I'm still having this memory problem. And Taj, oh my God, thank you. So many women, you know, they look at Gabby, who was in Precious. They look at other women and they call them big, and we call them women. Strong, big bone women that you will not mess with. But let's get to the show. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about the Jigsaw Man. That's my brother. All right. I am Valinda Miller. I am the owner of Turning Page Bookshop in Goose Creek, South Carolina. I am the only brick and mortar Black-owned bookstore in South Carolina. And of course, the future means that I have to open up more bookstores. But spreading your word and doing some social media strategies and IGs and Facebook. Nadine, how are you enjoying that? Or is it because your book came out a few years ago?
My book, it came out it's been out a year. Well, it's been out a year today in the UK.
Yes.
And and it came out in the US, God, I can't remember, March. So it's coming up to a full year.
Yes.
So it's been
it was in London first.
Yeah, it came out in London first. And I think the thing for me was that Jigsaw Man came out like right in the middle of lockdown. So nothing was open. I celebrated my publication launch in my living room, like online. That's what I had to do. And everything I've had to do, like since then until now, was online. So, you know, Facebook, all the Instagram lives, taking part in book clubs, online book clubs, not just in the UK, but also in the States, even if it meant, you know, doing book clubs in California, which is like a 9-hour, it's a crazy time difference for me. So I'm up at 2:00 in the morning. I did it because it's just so important to be out there. And I think also because you're so isolated in lockdown, you know, having that contact, that human contact, even though it was on screen, it was so important. So, and I still try and keep it up as much as I can now, even doing my own Instagram lives with other authors. I think it's just so important for us to be, for readers to have access to us and to continue to have access to us.
Well, Nadine and Taj, is it Taj? Am I saying that correctly? It seems like this is the year your books needed to come out. We needed a serial killer, murder mystery cycle. You know, we have romance, we have history, but it's good to have a Black woman write a murder mystery. And so many people, and my friends in other bookstores said, "Did you read it yet? Are you finished with it?" And so many of my friends have said, I have to put it down because I'm not, this is not right. This is not right. And since the book, I told them that you were from London. I've been there. And I said, well, I think she is bringing in Jack the Ripper and some other people from during that time period, 18th and 16th century. And going to you, Taj, it's like you bringing in the women who were strong and had to fight so many battles because they were big. And people used to say, well, you know, you have to look like a size 0. But I think they really finally realizing a size 0 is making you sick. It's when you are yourself, inside and outside, you just start to explode. It doesn't matter who you are. You just start to explode. And for African-American women, Black women all over the world, that's a need. So concerning you writing that, why did you write it?
So mute.
You on mute, honey. We know technology.
Oh.
Well, don't worry about it. You would fix that. You got it?
Can you? No? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, for me, I was in a really bad place. I was living in LA at the time and having a hard time dating because it can be very superficial in a place where everybody is trying to make it as an entertainer. I was in law school and I was dating someone who put conditions on our relationship, and they had to do with my weight. And so for me, this story is deeply personal, yes. But it's also, you know, something where, you know, as I've grown up, you know, I've seen, you know, Gabby Sidibe, I've seen Queen Latifah, I've seen Monique, and very few others. You know, I wanted to see a greater representation of plus size women as the lead and as the love interest, you know, to show that not only can we be funny and comical as the best friend, but we are deserving of love. And, you know, for me, this wasn't just showing that, you know, plus size women of color deserving of love. It was very important for me to also really have a Black man as the love interest, because I feel like there are a lot of romances right now that are highlighting interracial love, and I'm proud of that. I am the product of it. But at the same time, you know, we are in a time where our men are being hunted.
Yes.
And we need to be able to show that Black men are not only to be loved and adored, but they are good and they are worthy of love and they are worthy of being on the cover for something other than trauma and pain. And so that was extremely important to me for this particular story. And I will carry that theme throughout the next several books that I write.
Well, thank you. Because I got an advance copy being that I'm a bookseller.
Yes.
I saw it on Otherwise and I said, I got to read that because I like romance and I like cozy mysteries. But Nadine's book sort of threw me off a little bit. I had a little bit of a problem. I said, where am I in London? Jack the Ripper? What the Scotland Yard? Did you research in Scotland Yard?
Who, me? Well,
yes.
No, I'm a criminal lawyer, so I know the world.
I know you're a criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
But where did you do your research?
Well, where the book is set in Southeast London. I grew up in Southeast London, so every single scene in the book is a real place. So so odd to say it's research when it's stuff that you know, when it's areas that you know that you live and you breathe it, and I know what the river smells like. So it's kind of intrinsically just me, and I suppose it comes across well in the book. But I didn't mean to scare people. That wasn't my intention at all.
Oh, you should. See, I got two authors on both spectrums of the world. I got an author, a Black woman, I mean, we have a lot of Black women mystery writers, but the most famous ones were in the 40s and the 50s. Blanche on the Run, the lady who wrote the Blanche on the Run series from the 60s. We have a lot of Black mystery writers, but most Black men write your type of books, Nadine. We don't have that many Black women writing your type of murder mystery books. Is there somebody in particular that you particularly like? I'm not talking about the usual Patterson and all of them, you know.
Because I would say even in the UK, there's not. I was thinking about this the other day. I could probably count on one hand the amount of Black writers, male and female, Black British writers who are writing maybe mystery thrillers or not even anything similar to what I'm doing. Like, we just aren't out there, and it's just, it always seemed odd to me because, like, in my working life, I've sat in a police station in an interview room opposite a Black female detective. So
Yes.
not have that represented in, you know, in literature, it just doesn't make sense. And, you know, I got fed up of seeing, you know, picking up a crime book and, you know, the villain, or, you know, it's always the typical cliche of a Black man or Black woman in the book. They're never anyone of prominence. And so even when I've had readers, you know, come back to me and they say they're surprised to see a Black woman is the protagonist. They're surprised to see the Black woman is a detective and she's the one leading the case. And I had a reader email me. No, it was on Instagram. He DM'd me the other day and said, "Oh, he really enjoyed the book, but he felt there was too much discussion on racism about it." And I just thought to myself, listen, if that's bothering you, you need to ask yourself why it's bothering, because those instances of racism, that's just daily life. And you need to recognize not everything is perfect. We don't live through a life through rose-tinted glasses. These are our lives, and you need to see that on the page. I think that's why that was one thing I was absolutely adamant about. I need to get that on the page. And as a Black woman, I wasn't going to write about anyone other than a Black woman either.
Well, I hope a few of my friends who have read that book, and a few of our customers, because my manager recommended it because she listened to it, and then when she got home, she said she had to read the book because she had to go back to make sure she knew what she was doing and that she was writing the right person. I was reading Taj's book because, you know, your book, I needed something calm. Ooh, I needed something calm. And that's why, I mean, the two of you, your books are in my bookstore side by side. Because you need a murder mystery, a hardcore, because my mother used to say, Black women can't write murder mysteries. She likes Black men because she's from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. I said, yeah, but Black women can write murder mysteries. And especially in your arena, you know, criminal law. And Black women can write about women who are big women. And they can write about them having the same issues as everybody else. You know, 100%. Trying to find romance, trying to figure out what you do with the job, and trying to figure out what you do with your kids. I mean, they act like the size of a person makes somebody different. But I like Taj is that she's bringing out that first book. We've had a few authors who brought them out, but hers speaks to women of her size when they realize it's not the size, it's what's going on inside.
That's right.
And then what's going on around your surroundings. I'm telling y'all, both y'all books, you know, I don't know. Okay, I'm supposed to ask something, but I'm telling you, Nadine, I've been looking forward to talk to you for a while. That book, oh my God, that book. I told my manager I was talking to you, and she said, "Oh, just ask us when is the second book coming out." That's all she wants to know. We've been on Idlewise and Net Gallery and looking because we need an advance copy.
I know. I'm sure you'll get an advance copy.
And Ty, your book is not out yet.
Right.
I mean, you know, I can get a copy, you know.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You know, because, you know, I could get a copy. Thank you. Because we have a lot of women of varied sizes, Black and white, blue, green, and purple, who are tired of society telling them they're not good enough because they're not a size 0. And I've been telling society as long as I've been on this earth, you got to be kidding.
Right.
Because, I mean, come on now. Black women, big Black women, who do you think survived through slavery? We did. It's because of the strength that we had inside. And it's because of the strength we were able to keep things going. And who was by our side? They were trying to take our Black men, but we were able to pull them up. Harriet Tubman was not a size 0 woman. She was not. She was a big, strong woman. So you make sure you keep them up. Okay, I'm supposed to be asking y'all some questions, but y'all books that took me to another world. Who that? Taj, you got to read that. Oh, girl.
Oh,
you
trust
but
me,
you
I'm
cannot
about
read
to
that
go
book.
get it right now.
You cannot read that book at night.
Okay.
You got to get a glass of wine, maybe a bottle, or maybe some gin and some scotch or something like that, or maybe a big cup of coffee, and read it in a room of lots of light, because you're going to be sitting there going, where in the name of good God did she get this man from?
Yes, indeed.
This is a serial killer. Oh, that thing is scary. And when you read yours, luckily I did read it because I got an advance copy. I just thought it was the strongest, romantic, giving book I have read in a long time. And
Wow.
I want to thank you for that. That was really a good book.
Thank you so much.
And I think it's going to do very well, because my manager is a big woman, and that's what she loved about it. Finally, she said, somebody who's talking about me.
Well, just wait for the second book, because my second one is actually about a plus size Black bookstore owner.
Yes. Yes. And Nadine, who are you going to kill next? I mean, who's going to come next?
I've killed. You know what? You remind me of my mother. My mother read The Jigsaw Man, and she was like, "What? Where did you come from? Like, this isn't my child. It's written. I didn't raise you this way."
If my mother was around, alive, she would go, "Oh yeah, I like her. I love her." She would have loved your book, because that's what she read. I introduced to her years ago a book by a guy from Britain. He's a detective, like a cozy mystery. He lives in London. He's a vampire, and he's gay. Now, don't tell me that doesn't cover the spectrum.
Everything.
That covers the spectrum. I think you went a little bit further than that, Nadine.
I did. Well, I've killed her. I haven't personally killed, but in the second book, they're investigating the murder of a pastor. And my grandmother was a reverend, so every time I was writing a scene in the second book, that I thought, oh my God, I'm cutting it kind of close. I thought, no, my granny would have been all right with this. She would have been fine. She was a preacher. She would have been fine. I feel like I've got her permission to go there.
Well, I like the cover of your book. Was that your design, Nadine?
No, that had nothing. I mean, I say I was involved in terms of, what I liked and what I didn't want. And they came up with the concept. And as soon as I saw the concept, I was like, yes, this is it. I love this. I like things that are just bold. And it's just bold, and it's not trying to say too much, but it's just, exactly where you are. So, and it's kind of similar for the second book. So the second book's out in July. So
okay.
You haven't got long to wait. Taj is all excited.
Well, Taj's book's got a good cover, because it is the picture of an intelligent and beautiful Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what's going to catch people when they look at the cover. And it's colorful. Whereas Nadine's book is the dark murder mystery color, but it's going to catch people because, you think of Jigsaw, you think of Mike Myers of Halloween, and you think of Jack the Ripper and all those, and Freddy Krueger and all of those. But I always tell people, read the first 20 pages of a book. Just sit there and read. And I even let them read it in the store. Just read the first 20 pages, because if the first 5 or 6 pages get you, and that's what happened to one of our customers. I said, just read that. She looked at me, she said, this is a murder. This was written by a Black woman. I said, a Black woman.
I love that.
And she brought the book because she read the first 7. You have to, because not everybody can read every single thing that's out there. So you want to give them an opportunity. And your book, the first 10 pages is hooked. And it's the cover, I think, that's get them hooked. And so that is going to be your bestseller. But y'all got to come up with a second and a third book, because people are they want that. They need that. They need that, that difference. They need something, that's going to pull them out.
Yeah.
And I see our time is up.
Miss Melinda, first of all, you are fabulous. We are ranting and raving about you. You have the comments on fire. Matter of fact, I have to come to your bookstore this Saturday just because I need to meet you in person. Honestly, I'm going to just talk to you and let you give out the next giveaway. But you are fabulous. This was an amazing conversation. Honestly, everyone in the comments is going to purchase these books as we speak. And I was over here looking it up. So I'm super excited to read Jigsaw during the day, like you said. And Taj's book as well. So this is an amazing conversation. The comments are literally on fire. Everyone is enjoying this. So thank you for being a part of this conversation and getting us all fired up about reading and just being a part of the culture and just being able to write it down and to be represented. So thank you for this conversation. And it's special thank you to Miss Belinda, the model.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Now, the both of you are invited for a book signing in person. Just email me because we want to show off your book. We want to show off everybody's book, So thank you very much. Thank you, Nadine, for scaring the crap out of me.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Taj, for letting my managers and my friends go. We can be big, beautiful, and everything else.
Thank you. I can't wait to come visit.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we're going to take a couple questions from the audience. And this question I saw in the comments from Lindsay Ford. If your book was a movie, what actor or actress would you want to play the main character?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Who wants to take this question first? Nadine or Tom?
Go ahead, Nadine.
I know this. Naomi Harris would be Angelica Henley. That's who I would have. And also Olivier the serial killer. I like Michael Fassbender for him. So I think that would be a good match.
Love it. For Savvy, I actually did the artwork after Tabria Majors, who's a model, plus size model, whom I love and adore. And I have a few different ideas in terms of love interest, but I really based this one off of Omari Hardwick.
Ooh. Right. That would be a good one. Well, we need to get this in motion. We need to make these two movies happen.
We do.
Truly.
Super. And honestly, what you were saying earlier about the Netflix HBO special, The Jigsaw Man, I'm expecting for someone to call you and be like, hey.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
The way Miss Belinda told me about it, I need to, once I get off of this, I'm going to get I need to.
You have to.
Oh, so, and to everyone in the comments asking, so thank you to all the panelists that were involved. We had Catherine Idle West, the author of Saving Ruby, Candace Buford, the author of Neil, and that was moderated by Britt Franklin. And right now on stage, we have Nadine Matheson, the author of Jigsaw Man, and Taj McCoy of Savvy, the author of Sheldon Feels Good as Hell, and moderated by Belinda of Turning Pages. I just feel like you have to say the title like that. That's how I said it in my head. So I feel that's how it should be said. But we do have one more winner, and this will be the winner of a Black Southern, books from the authors, a part of this event. So this is an amazing prize. You get books from the authors. Great. And that winner is, are you ready? Yvonne Levy, congratulations. You are the fabulous winner of books from the authors. So once again, thank you to everyone that was involved in a part. Thank you to the sponsors, Harlequin, for making this possible. Thank you to Black Southern Belle. I think I can just speak for everyone when I say we definitely should do this again. So once again, I'm going to give you the names of the authors and their books so you can connect with them on social media. And most importantly, get these books. So Catherine Adele West, the author of Saving Ruby, Candace Buford, the author of Neil, and that was moderated by Britt Franklin, who is a writer and editor. And for the second conversation, Panelists Nadine Matheson, the author of The Jigsaw Man, and Taj McCoy of Savvy, the author of Sheldon Feels Good as Hell. And that was moderated by Miss Belinda Miller of Turning Pages Bookstore. And make sure you check out Turning Pages Bookstore, located in South Carolina. And yeah, thank you again for being a part. Even though the live is over, you can still share this live so everyone can come back to it. And make sure you are connecting with Black Southern Belle on everything: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, because we are TikToking on Black Southern Belle, to find every gem in South Carolina, all Southern gems. And this was definitely a gem. And oh yes, thank you to Rashonda Grant earlier with the coffee cocktail. So that was amazing. So once again, thank you to everyone who was involved, who decided to be a part of this, and to take an hour out of your day to read some really awesome books. So I'm going to be adding some books to my stack today, and I hope that you're doing the same. Thank you guys so much. And most importantly, happy Black History Month.